Hello, and happy Tuesday evening. Welcome to another segment of Divine Femininity United. I'm your girl, Dr. Bianca Miss B. Lee, and we are here for another reading through this amazing book, Letting Go, The Pathway of Surrender, written by the late, great Dr. David R. Hawkins. Listen, you all, as you already know, on Tuesdays, we get down, we get in, we go all in, and we get started because we don't want you to have to be up all night and all of this stuff. It's already late. It's 8 o'clock on the East Coast, okay? And we know that you're winding down and all of those things, okay? I'm going to go over the church announcements really quickly before we get started. We are airing live on several platforms simultaneously, and I'm so grateful to have these resources at my disposal. We are airing live on Clubhouse, audio only, and then Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter on video aspects, okay? Wherever you are tuning in from, I thank you for your presence, for your energy, all of the things, okay? At any point during the collective reading, if there's something that stands out to you, say so, okay? Use the comment section, that's what it's there for. Use the chat section, that's what it's there for, okay? Share your thoughts, share your feelings, share what resonates with you. I will give sound to your words and we can deliberate, okay? Alrighty, you all, here we go. But without further ado, this is chapter 7, desire. Chapter 7, desire. This emotion may range from a mild wanting to an obsessive, driven craving for something or someone. It is also expressed as greed, obsession, hunger, envy, jealousy, clinging, hoarding, ruthlessness, fixation, frenzy, exaggeration, overambition, selfishness, lust, possessiveness, control, glamorization, insatiability, and acquisitiveness. That's what it is. Acquisitiveness. Okay. Never satisfied, never enough, must have. We also learned in the previous book that we read, written by the same author, that desire is a low vibrating energy. It's a low frequency energy. Yeah. So we're about to find out why. Okay. The underlying quality of this emotion is its drivenness. When we are at the effect of desire, we are no longer free. We are controlled by it, run by it, enslaved and led about by the nose by it. Here again, the essential point of freedom is whether we have chosen consciously to fulfill a certain want or whether we are just being blindly run by unconscious programs and belief systems. Next section, desire as an obstacle. Desire as an obstacle. There is often a lack of understanding of the function of wanting and desire. The main illusion is seen in the statement, the only way that I'll get what I want is by desiring it. If I let go of my desire, then I won't get what I want. Actually, the opposite is true. Desire, especially strong desire, like a cravingness, frequently blocks our getting what we want. Why is this so? Actually, the way something comes into our life is because we have chosen it. It was the result of our intention, or we made a decision for it. It has come into our life in spite of desire. The desiring was actually the obstacle to its achievement or acquisition. This is because desire literally means I do not have. Come on, come on. In other words, if we say that we desire something, we're saying that it isn't ours. When we say that it isn't ours, we put a psychic distance between ourselves and what we want. This distance becomes the obstacle that consumes energy. That's it. Ooh. Yeah, he about to go into some areas, you all. Here we go. The impossible becomes possible as soon as we are totally surrendered. This is because wanting blocks receiving it and results in a fear of not getting it. The energy of desire is, in essence, a denial that we want that what we want is ours for the asking. This is a different way of looking at achieving goals than the one we are used to from the programming of the world. We are used to picturing ambition and success as being associated with hard work and the classical Protestant ethic virtues. These include self-sacrifice, asceticism. Okay, he's using some vocabulary in these books, honey, which I'm grateful for because it expands mine. Asceticism, okay. Asceticism, okay. Great expenditure of effort and endeavor, keeping our nose to the grindstone, tightening our belt, buckling down, and all of the grindness of hard work. When we look at this whole picture, it sounds arduous, doesn't it? Well, it is. It involves struggle, and the struggle results from the block we have put in our own way because of desire. Let's compare the arduous lower consciousness way of achieving goals with the higher state of consciousness in which we have acknowledged and let go of the desire and are in a freer state. In a freer state, that which is chosen manifests in our life effortlessly. We surrender the emotion of desire and instead merely choose the goal, picture it lovingly, and allow it to happen because we see that it is already ours. Why is it already ours? In a lower state of consciousness, the universe is seen as negative and denying, frustrating, and reluctant. It's like a bad, stingy parent. In a higher state of consciousness, our experience of the universe changes. It now becomes like a giving, loving, unconditionally approving parent who wants us to have everything we want. And it is ours for the asking. This is creating a different context. It is giving the universe a different meaning. Although the world may be stingy and hostile to other people, there is no reason why we should buy into its paradigm. When we buy into it, we make it that we make it that way in our own life. As we experience the letting go of desires, we begin to see that what we have chosen will come into our life almost magically. What we hold in our mind tends to manifest. As was said before, during times of supposed high unemployment, some people are not only employed but have two or three jobs. This was a shockingly new way of looking at the world when it was first encountered. There was the hope that it was true, but also a skepticism that said this just isn't possible on a pragmatic level. A strict Protestant ethic background made it hard to believe. Nonetheless, the willingness was there to be open minded enough to give it a try. Here was the initial experience with letting go of desire. Personal goals were written down, followed by a letting go of the desire for them. It sounds paradoxical, but that is the process. Identify the goals and then let go of wanting it. One goal that had been held in mind for several years was an apartment in New York City because work commitments required a lot of commuting and money spent on hotel rooms. A small apartment in the city, a so called pied a terre, would be the economic solution. Apartment in New York City was written down as a goal. When utilizing this way of achieving goals, we include all of the details as impossible as they may seem to the rational mind to achieve. So the ideal apartment was detailed, reasonably priced on Fifth Avenue on in the 70s block, right next to an entrance to Central Park, at least 8 or 9 floors up and in the rear so that the street noise would be minimized, and not any bigger than about 2.5 rooms. The next day at work, it was busy as usual with a big caseload, meetings, and patient visits. In between the meetings and patients, the feelings of wantingness for the apartment would be acknowledged and let go. And as the day progressed, the apartment was actually forgotten. At 4:30 p.m., after the last patient, there was suddenly the impulse to drive into the city. Despite the fact that it is ostensibly rush hour, the road was clear and the drive took only half an hour. The car cruised to about 73rd and Lexington, pulling up to the nearest real estate office. Rather magically, there happened to be a parking space open right in front of the real estate office. The real estate officer, upon hearing the tongue in cheek announcement that an apartment on Fifth Avenue was desired, looked with surprise and said, "Well, you are certainly in luck. Exactly 1 hour ago, we listed the only apartment for rent on all of Fifth Avenue at 76th Street on the ninth floor. It's the rear apartment, 2.5 rooms, and the rent is reasonable. Rent controlled at $500 a month. It has just been painted and you can move in anytime. So we walked over and viewed the apartment. It fit the description of the goal exactly. The lease was signed on the spot. Thus, within 24 hours of trying the letting go technique on a specific personal goal, the goal was a reality. It had been something that was almost impossible to find, and yet it happened exactly as pictured, effortlessly, and with no negative emotions. It was an easy and joyous experience. This is not an unusual experience, but a typical one, because in this case, the desire was moderate and could, without much effort, be totally surrendered. By being totally surrendered, this means that it was okay if the apartment happened, and it was okay if it didn't. There we go. Because of being totally surrendered, the impossible become possible, manifesting itself effortlessly and rapidly. We can all doubt this mechanism and look back at things that we wanted and that were achieved through ambition, desire, craving, and even obsession, frenzied wanting. The mind says, well, what if I had let go of the desire for those things? If it weren't for the desire, how would I have gotten them? The truth is, we could have gotten them anyway, only without anxiety, fear of not getting it, without all the energy expenditure, without all the effort, without all the trial and error, and without all the hard work. Well, the mind says, if we got it effortlessly, how about the pride of achievement? Wouldn't we have to sacrifice that? Well, yes, we would have to relinquish the vanity of all that sacrifice and hard work that we put into it. We would have to give up the sentimentality about the self sacrifice and all the pain and suffering we went through to achieve our goals. This is a peculiar perversion in our society, isn't it? That self made stuff. A self made millionaire. I'm a self made this and self made that. That's ego. If we suddenly became successful almost effortlessly, then people are envious. It really annoys them that we didn't have to go through all kinds of anguish, pain, and suffering to get there. Their mind believes that such anguish is the cost that must be paid for success. Exactly. Let's look at this belief. If it weren't for the negative programming that made us believe otherwise, why should we go through any cost of pain and suffering to achieve anything in our life? Isn't that a rather sadistic view of the world and the universe? Other blocks to the achievement of our wants and desires, of course, are unconscious guilt and smallness. Peculiarly, the unconscious will allow us to have only what we think we deserve. The unconscious will allow us to have only what we think we deserve. The more we hang on to our negativity and the small self image that results, the less we think we deserve. And we unconsciously deny ourselves the abundance which flows so easily to others. That is the reason for the saying, the poor get poorer and the rich get richer. If we have a small view of ourselves, then what we deserve is poverty. And our unconscious will see to it that we have that actuality. As we relinquish our smallness and revalidate our own inner innocence, and as we let go of resisting our generosity, openness, trust, lovingness, and faith, then the unconscious will automatically start arranging life circumstances so that abundance begins to flow into our life. That is so good. Understanding that at this current moment, you all, we literally have everything that we need already. Like there is nothing that we're missing right now. Right now, in this moment, you are complete. Okay. Now, this is the way that I see it regarding my life and manifestation and things like that. I see that if I don't see in my fruition what I see in my consciousness, in my subconscious self, then that means that either two things. One, it's not the right time for it, or two, I haven't arrived to the level for to be a good steward over it yet. Meaning, if I'm calling in or if I see, if you can visual, let me put it this way. If you can envision it, it's already done. Period. Okay. If you can see it, I've done a guided meditation with so many people inside of the very thing that they're envisioning. I'm talking about, I have walked with people throughout their dream home that they have never seen with their physical eyes. I'm talking about, they have took me on tours. They have shown me the decor. They have opened up cabinets and seen the dishes. They have opened up their refrigerator and seen the food. They've even seen their dog bowls and all types of stuff. And this home has never been seen with their physical eyes. But it's so real because they're able to envision walking through it and all of this and the third, right? The furnishing, everything, right? Even down to the decor on the walls, they see everything. If you can see it, envision it, then it's already done. Period. Somewhere it's already done. Okay. Remember, as above, so below, as within, so without. If you can envision it, it's already here. It's already there, right? However, if you don't have possession of it in this iteration, okay, right? Mr. Donald Robinson on Facebook says, all good that we need is within us at all times. Period, point blank. Right now, as we speak. Always have been, always will be. Okay. We are a completed work. And everything that we need in this iteration and in every other one, hello, somebody, is already done. That is us aligning with our higher being. Our higher being is a culmination of all things, right? So, with that being said, if you don't see it in your fruition, if it's not in your physical possession, one or two things. Number one, it's not the time for it, for it to be to show itself to you right now, or you are not ready for it yet, right? Because when it comes, it's going to come and remain. Hear me. When it comes, it's going to come and remain. Are you prepared to maintain it? Are you able to maintain and retain what appears to you? Because a lot of things has not come yet because we have not elevated to the level that it's on. All right. I had to get that out. I had to get that part out. So here we go. All right, here we go. Next section, having, doing, being. As we free ourselves out of lower states of consciousness, such as apathy and fear, we come into wantingness. What was formerly an I can't and impossible now becomes possible. The general progression of the levels of consciousness as we go through the lowest to the highest is to move from havingness to doingness to beingness. Okay? The general progression of the levels of consciousness as we go from the lowest to the highest is to move from havingness to doingness to beingness. At the lower levels of consciousness, it is what we have that counts. It is what we have that we want. It is what we have that we value. It is what we have that gives us our self-image of worth and position in the world. Once we have proven to ourselves that we can have, that our basic needs can be fulfilled, that we have the power to provide for our own needs and those of others who are dependent upon us, the mind begins to become more interested in what it is that we do. Then we move to a different social setting in which what we do in the world is the basis of our value and how others rate us. As we move up in lovingness, our doingness is less and less preoccupied with self-service and becomes more and more oriented to being of service to others. As our consciousness grows, we set that service, which is lovingly orientated toward others, automatically results in the fulfillment of our own needs. This does not mean sacrifice. Service is not sacrifice. Service is not sacrifice. Eventually, we become convinced that our own needs are automatically fulfilled by the universe, and our actions become almost automatically loving. What did I say on Sunday session? I said, we're here in this life to perfect our loving. That's what we're here to do. Okay. And he just stated, eventually, we become convinced that our own needs are automatically fulfilled by the universe, and our actions become almost automatically loving. At that point, it is no longer what we do in the world, but what we are that counts. We have proven to ourselves that we can have what we need, that we can do almost anything, given the willingness. And now, what we are within ourselves and to others becomes most important. People now seek our company, not because of what we have, not because of what we do and society's labels, but because of what we have become. Because of the quality of our presence, people just want to be around us and experience us. Our social description changes. We're no longer the person who has a fashionable apartment or a big car or a bric-a-brac collection, nor are we labeled as the president of the so-and-so corporation or a member of the board of directors of some organization. Now we're described as a splendid person, as somebody whom people just have to meet, just have to know. We become described as a charismatic person. This level of beingness is typical of self-help groups. In self-help groups, no one is interested in what others do in the world or what they have. They're only interested in whether or not we have achieved certain inner goals, such as those of honesty, openness, sharingness, lovingness, willingness to help, humility, genuineness, and awareness. They're interested in our quality of beingness. Beingness. Come on now. That's where we're headed. Beingness. I actually, I had a relationship, brief relationship back in 2019, and that was one of the reasons why I did not want to move forward with that dynamic, because every single thing about this person was based around their title, what they have and what they do, what they have and what they do, and emotionally or internally, they were so disconnected, couldn't emulate or empathize with the humanness or the beingness of another person, couldn't soften, couldn't relate heart to heart, spirit to spirit. It was always about the achievement, the accomplishment, all of those things. Even double back in 2021, after having not seen or spoken to this person in a couple years, this person contacted me and says, "Hey, I need a wife. I kid you not. I need a wife." And I said, "Okay, well, good luck with that, but the only this is what he said, but the only catch is they have to do what I say do. They have to listen to what I say, and this and the third." And I said, "Well, again, good luck in finding that person." But what does that have to do with me? Well, that's why I'm calling you. Oh, excuse me. I am so not her. Okay. So not her. All right. So that right there says there's a complete hit. The only reason that he wanted a wife is so that he can secure grants and things that are allotted for women and minority women and things like that, or to have the status of this and that and the third, or whatever the case. That's the only reason. It had nothing to do with if we were on the same accord, if we were, if we were compatible, if we had the same, mission and desires. For none of that. None of that. It was all about status, all about the image of, all about that. And I was like, oh God, that oof, oof. Oof. That, not to judge him, but that right there showed me that there are so many people out here that are adamant about their place in society. And outside of those titles, outside of the what I am or what I have and what I do, outside of that, who are you? Who are you? Because what if all of those things are stripped? You're only left with who you are. You're only left with who you are. And if who you are can only be defined by what you have and what you do, then unfortunately, there's nothing there. Nothing there. So there would be no emotional connection. There would be no romanticism and no connect, none of that. It would just simply be stuff, stuff and titles. That's not what you want, okay? Next section, glamour. Glamour is a very useful subject to understand. Once we understand it, it greatly facilitates the letting go of desires. The book called Glamour, A World Problem, written in 1950 by Alice Bailey, presents the whole subject expertly. If we look at something that we want, we can begin to distinguish between the thing itself versus the aura, the patina, the flash, and attractive magnetic effort of a quality that can best be described as glamour. It is this disparity between what a thing is in itself and the glamour that we have attached to it, which leads to disillusionment. We also so often we have chased some goal, and then when we have achieved it, we're disappointed. It's true, or we're quickly on to the next. That is because the thing itself does not coincide with our pictures of it. Glamour means that we have attached sentimentality, or we have made it bigger than life. We are projected onto a thing, magical quality that somehow leads us to believe that once we acquire it, we will magically achieve some higher state of happiness and satisfaction. Exactly. This happens very often with vocational goals. The man works year after year striving to become president of the company or become important and prominent in some other way. When he gets there, he expects to experience all the satisfaction and the glamour associated with that level of achievement. The the kowtowing by employees, the flashy cars, the prominent office, the labels, the titles, and the exclusive addresses. But what he finds is that all of these things are superficial. They are very inadequate compensation for the agonizing energy drain and daily grind that in reality the position necessitates. While he pictured that he would get admiration, what he often finds at the top levels of is viciousness, competitiveness, envy, and the endless fawning and dishonest manipulations that occur to people in power, including the paranoid attacks by competitors. He finds that his energy is so drained that he has no energy left over for his personal life. Hello, I just described that. His relationships are impaired. His wife complains that he is too exhausted to make love, too depleted to give her the energy she needs, too worn out to be a good father, and too tired even to enjoy a favorite recreational activity. Exactly. That right there would have been the sacrifice that I would have made if I was after the same thing: status, position, possessions. I am so not, absolutely not. Absolutely not. The same thing occurs with women in the traditionally feminine areas of achievement. A woman thinks, for instance, if she gets a certain designer dress for the party, that the dress is going to bring her attention, adulation, and admiration, and that it will win her a certain social status. With much sacrifice, she spends a great deal of money and effort on the dress, running back and forth for fittings. But what happens? At the dinner party, there are a few passing comments on her dress, and that's the end of it. Exactly. Nobody dances with her any more than usual. She is not more prominent than she was before the party. No more genuine attention is paid to her than previously. She gets some hostile, envious looks from other women who recognize what she's probably paid for the dress. During the evening, she has the usual argument with her escort, and they go home in a car, barely speaking to each other, the same as in the past. As women make gains in the corporate and political arenas, they face the disappointment that companies longed for: glamorized leadership roles in the public. What was predicted to enhance prestige and esteem instead brings criticism, envy, and hostility, even from other women. The experience of achieving their goal is often not what they thought it was going to be. There is endless judgment of a woman's public persona and dress. And she may have the gnawing feeling of inner worry that she has failed her family by going for professional fulfillment. Winning is sometimes not as liberating as glamour would want us to believe. Emotional goals are also glamorized by sentimentality and emotionalism. A certain excitement is projected onto the emotional event. Example, a reunion, a first date, or being elected president of one's class. It is made to seem more important than it really is in the overall course of events. After the event passes, life goes on the same and disappointment ensues. Glamorization, of course, is starkly obvious in advertising. Here we see it in what is this, sui generis? The cowboy is the glamorization of masculinity, and the ballet dancer is the glamorization of femininity. Men are attracted by personality, not the brand. Thus, the cowboy represents the glamorized male who is rugged, cool, suave, and in control. The consumer projects onto the product that it will give him those desired personality traits. Exactly. I did a case study on this in one of my psychological classes when I was achieving my doctorate. Exactly. Okay, that's why they project the color pink on girls, the color blue on boys. When you go into stores, the ideal toys for boys are Tonka trucks and construction trucks and race cars and all of that. But for girls, it's projected onto her baby dolls, kitchen sets, cooking sets, dresses and bowls and things like that, because they're ingraining in the mind from a child what society says that they should be, right? Uh-huh. Glamorization is living at a fantasy level. Therefore, we then when we proceed to let go of a desire, we must dissect away that which is exaggeration, fantasy, and romanticization. Once we have relinquished the glamour, it will be relatively easy to surrender the desire itself. If you let go of the romanticization of the cowboy, for example, then the cigarette or the cheeseburger that he was handling in the commercial will lose its appeal. Exactly. In fact, much to our surprise, we will find over and over again that the desire was attached to the glamorous fantasy. There was no reality in it in the first place. Because there was no reality in it, the world is constantly selling us dishonesty, catering to our desire for that romantic, glamorized aspect. Exactly. It promises to make us more important than we really are. Glamour at that level of dishonesty is a fake. The mind protests. Do I have to give up all of that glamorous excitement? Do I have to let go of my pictures of emotional gratification and excitement? The answer is obviously no. We don't have to give them up at all. And we can achieve the goals effortlessly and easily once we are conscious of what we are choosing. We can have them directly. We can be attractive, but we won't get it in a fake way, such as driving a certain style of car. We will get it by letting go of our smallness and owning our greatness, thereby reflecting it out unto the world. We can easily become that exciting person whom people are eager to know. Just choose to be that person and let go of the block of desiring to be that way. We can have what we want directly without detouring through some fraudulent promise that will lead us into frustration and disappointment. The way to become that exciting person whom people want to know is very easy. We simply picture the kind of person we want to be and surrender all of the negative feelings and blocks that prevent us from being that. What happens then is that all we need to have and to do will automatically fall into place. This is because, in contrast to having and doing, the level of being has the most power and energy. When it is given priority, excuse me, it automatically integrates and organizes one's activities. This mechanism is evidenced in the common experience. What we hold in mind tends to manifest. That's it. That's it. Oh, my goodness, this is good. Next section, the power of inner decision. The power of inner decision. These are not philosophical positions, but practical processes that can be proven through experience. It is easy to experience with these concepts and watch the automatic results take place. Because of the mind's tendency to want to attribute credit elsewhere, other than to the power of our own consciousness, it is good to keep a diary to write down goals that we would really like to achieve and then check them off and make follow up notes. Exactly. I do that myself. Why? Because it will take a while before we believe that it is truly our own power that is accomplishing these ends. It's true. Here's an interesting example of the denial of inner power. A man who was desperate for a job and pretty frantic about it was instructed on how to apply the letting go technique to his job situation. Because he was of a religious nature, he was advised to forget about getting a job, to turn it over to God, and to surrender his desire in the matter while staying open to what might happen. A week later, he recounted. Well, the day after I surrendered, wanted a job, nothing happened. Then I got a long distance phone call from my brother in law, and I am going to be joining his firm. If it weren't for my brother in law, I never would have gotten a job. It's a good thing I didn't wait for God. Oh, what? This is a good example of what the mind has a tendency to do. It was his own surrender, of course, that brought in the call from his brother in law. He so frantically desired the job that the desire was blocking the fulfillment of that goal. Then he let go of wanting the job. It quickly appeared within 24 hours. But the propensity of the mind is to disown his own power and project it elsewhere onto the world. This is why people, in their own estimation, think they are powerless. They have the power, but they have merely projected it onto external forces, right? Out there, the God out there, versus the power of the God in us, okay? Which has never left, by the way, okay? They have the power, but they have merely projected it onto external forces. We are all powerful beings who have become unconscious of our own power. We have denied and projected it onto others out of guilt and our own sense of smallness. The majority of what happens in our own lifetime is the result of some decision we have made somewhere in the past, either consciously or unconsciously. Because this is so, it is very simple then to see our past decisions by looking at our life and tracking backwards. Exactly. This principle is demonstrated by a woman who came to psychotherapy. She needed treatment because, in her words, my relationships never work out. She had one unsatisfactory love affair after another and was always left feeling used and abused. She was full of resentment, self pity, and depression. The problem, of course, was given in her own sentence: my relationships never work out. Because we deny the power of our own mind, we don't see the glaringly obvious. It is very curious how we have become so unaware. Here is a woman who has the answer sitting right there, but she does not see that it is the answer. She really doesn't see the power of her own belief system. Our mind is so powerful that if we hold in mind a single thought, such as, my relationships never work out, then that is most likely going to happen in our life. Our unconscious genie, which can only take orders and not make decisions, sees it to that our relationships don't work out. Exactly. Of course, she got a lot of payoffs from her disappointing relationship history. She got to experience self pity, resentment, jealousy, envy, and all those gratifications that the small self feeds on endlessly. If we look at the small part of ourselves, we will see that this is the kind of thing in which it just loves to wallow. The small self glorifies in how miserable life is, how tough luck is, how rotten our experiences have been, and how mean people have been to us. But we pay a big price when we listen to this set of programs. The corollary is obviously true. If our mind, by its decision, has the power to make negative things happen in our life, then it is equal power in the opposite positive direction. Exactly. I was just talking to a client today about that very same thing. It takes creativity to be paranoid and worried about something going wrong, right? That same pool of creativity we can tap into to think the opposite, something going right. Okay. I don't know why we are just programmed to go to the negative all the time. He then goes on to say, we can choose all over again. This time we can choose the positive. We can cancel the old programs, and we can do that by beginning to relinquish the gratification we were getting out of the negative payoffs. Now that we have looked at the subject a bit, we can come up with the term that most aptly describes the set of emotions: selfishness. The mere use of the word instantly sets up a resistance due to guilt. We all feel guilty because of selfishness. This puts us in an impossible position because in order to carry out in order to carry out what the world has taught us, we have to indulge in the very thing for which it then condemns us, selfishness. To look at the subject, let's first make a decision that we are not going to beat ourselves up about it and get into the self indulgence of guilt. That's what guilt is, really, isn't it? Self indulgence. Instead, let's look at the term selfishness as merely describing the collective motivations and modes of operation of the small self. That is a genetic aspect of the mind, which, due to our own naivete, we allowed ourselves to be programmed with, and which we are now resolved to deprogram in reverse, like the uninstall command on a computer. The reason to let go of selfishness is not because of guilt, not because it's a sin, not because it's wrong. All such motivations come from lower consciousness and self judgment. Rather, the reason to let go of selfishness is simply because it is impractical. It doesn't work. It's too costly. It consumes too much energy. It delays the accomplishment of our goals and the realization of our wants. Because of its very nature, the small self is the creator of guilt and its perpetuator. That is, out of guilt, we strive to accomplish and achieve success. Then, when we achieve success, we feel guilty because we have it. There is no winning of the guilt game. The only solution is to give it up and let it go. Our mind would like to make us think that guilty is laudatory, and the guilt mongers of the world love to make an idol of it. It's true, which is more important, to feel guilty or to change for the better. If somebody owes us money, would we rather they feel guilty about it or pay us the money? If we intend to feel guilty, we should at least consciously choose it instead of being unwittingly run by it. When we move from being selfish and with a small self, a small s, we move into being higher selfish with a capital S. We move from our smaller self to our greater self. We move from weakness to power, and then from self hatred and pettiness to lovingness and harmony. We move from strife to ease, and from frustration to accomplishment. In summation, then, instead of the motivation of selfishness and desire, we can much more effortlessly bring into our life that which we want by envisioning what we wish to have happen. We do this by declaration of our intentions, by acceptance, by decision, and by the act of unconsciously choosing. Mm-mm-mm. Choosing unconsciously, choosing deliberately, choosing. Being, not worrying about having, not worrying about doing, but absolutely being. Being what? Being our higher self. Being what we've always been. Being what we were prior to taking on this human body. Being, not striving for, not working hard to achieve. No, just simply be. I was operating in my gifts of wellness and healing and alignment and purpose and things like that before I acquired my doctorate. The paper is for the people. You understand? The paper is for the people, right? I didn't need the paper to be who I am. All right? The paper was for the because they needed it. You are who you are. You have already what you have and what you need. There should be no desire. The only reason, like he stated in the book, desire occurs because we feel that we don't already have. Because what would be the purpose of desiring something if you already have it? Right? Connect with who you are. When you connect with who you are, then there's no need for all of the other needs, quote unquote. I don't need anything. I have everything right now in this moment, everything that I need. I have it. I am it. Period. There is nothing else that God needs to do for us. Nothing. So get up off your knees, okay? Dust your knees off, okay? They put some lotion on them, ash your knees, and stop begging and wishing and hoping and praying and all of that. Stop it. Just be. Know that it is already, and move about like it's already done. Okay? Stop dwelling on stuff. Oh, if it I just hope that, and I just pray that, and I'm just believing that. Come on now. Come on now. All of those feelings and all those things, because again, these are things we've been conditioned to know, because we act like, and we've been taught that we have to reach out to an entity outside of us. Outside of us. Okay? Outside of us, when it's never been outside of us. We've never been separate from the beingness of the infinite intelligent one, of the almighty, of the I am. We've never been separate. We are embodiments of the almighty. We are little almighties. Okay? And when you know that, and you recognize and you align with and attach to the power that you are, then what are you desiring exactly that you don't already have? It's just like the story of the temptation inside of the Bible, how one of the stories talked about how Satan tried to tempt Christ on his fast. Well, I can give you all of this land and all of these, the cattle on 1,000 hills, and all of these and all of that. And Christ simply said, how you going to give me something I already have? It already belongs to me. How you going to give me my own stuff? It's already yours. So to desire it is for naught. It's wasted energy, because it's already yours. Know it, connect with it, align with it, surrender to it, and then let it go, right? Let it go and walk around if you desire your dream home, right? If you have this vision about your dream home, but you're in an apartment right now, walk around your apartment as if you're walking around your dream home. Take care of your apartment as you would take care of your dream home. I'm a former recording artist, okay? So music was my first career, my first love. I was in it from the age of 5. I retired in 2013. Let me tell you something. One thing that I learned is that what you do in rehearsal is what you're going to do on the main stage. What you do in rehearsal is what you will do on the main stage. Right? Ready yourself now for what you already know is on the way. It's already here. But operate now as if it already is. Okay? Operate now like you're walking into it every single day. Drive your Pinto like you would drive your Benz that you are calling to your now. You hear what I'm saying? Because it already is. It already is. It already is. Don't believe for health and wellness. Be whole. Be healthy. Be well. Think thoughts of wholeness. Think thoughts of health. Think thoughts of wellness. Simple. Speak words of wholeness. Speak words of health. Speak words of wellness. And then don't surround yourself with people who speak the opposite. That's why another story in the scriptures, which I do appreciate. I don't subscribe to all of the doctrinations and all of that stuff, because I know that it's debilitating and it's bounding. But I will say the principles that was my gateway into consciousness, expanded consciousness, and I will always appreciate and pay homage to it. But that's why when the story in the Bible where the girl was sick and the whole family is around and everybody's weeping and crying, and she appeared to be sleeping, but she was dying. Okay. And they called for Christ to come to the home. He came. And because of all of the weeping and the gnashing and all of the sadness and the tears and oh, she's leaving and Christ had to put everybody out. He said, everybody get out now. Get out. I don't care who child this is. I don't care who the parent, who the godmama, God, that get out. Get out. Because what you see and know from your higher being can 100% be blocked and derailed when you're surrounded by doubt and unbelief. Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. I'm speaking to somebody. I'm speaking to somebody. To know who you are, to know what power you possess, is also to know what setting and environment to put yourself in. Everybody's not fit. Everybody's not fit. I don't care what the relationship is. I have a saying that if you're not speaking what I'm speaking, then you're not speaking to me. If you're not verbing what I'm verbing, you're not speaking to me, period, point blank. That's exactly why everybody's not privy to all of the details of what I got going on. Because I be doggone, you going to inject your fear in my plan. You got me messed up. I don't have a fear, nothing in me. I don't fear nothing, no one, no thing. And pretty much every single thing that I see, I manifest. Everything. There's not anything that I haven't set out to do that I haven't done. Why? Because I know I can. Period. Because I know I can. That's not being a braggadocious. That's knowing who I am and knowing the power I possess. Period. But oftentimes when you share that with people who have yet to discover who they are and have yet to tap into their own power, they can't see through your lens. And then they try to say, if I was you, let me stop you right there. That's where you went wrong. I'm not you. You're not me. Not in essence. Because if you were me and I was you and you understood and we were on the same accord, and you would be talking the same thing I'm talking. You would be seeing the same way I'm seeing. Period. I don't have a problem with the LGBTQIA plus community. Why? Because that doesn't have anything to do with me. I see people. I see hearts. I see spirits. I'm connected to the heart of the person, the spirit of the person. What they choose to do with their lives ain't got nothing to do with me. Okay? Period. Period. I don't care about those type of things. Are distractions to me. They're distractions. A person has freedom to be however they want to be. Period. I love. That's the only thing I'm supposed to do. Love. Love. That's it. I love. I can't be around people who don't know how to do that, who don't know how to see themselves as powerful beings. I am an embodiment of the infinite intelligent one that possesses infinite love, infinite peace, infinite joy, infinite happiness, infinite wealth, infinite health, infinite. How dare I minimize who I am to be judgmental, to be gossipy, to be angry, to be dismissive, to be mean? How dare I do that? If I were to do that, that's because I don't know who I am. I have disconnected from who I am, my divinity, my sacredness. We see a lot of that out here. We see a lot of that out here. And when I see it, and there's someone vying to be in my space, connected to my beingness, and they have that mindset, I can't allow that. I got to tell you to get out. Respectfully, get out. I love you. But you're not ready for the space that I have right now. No, you're on your way. You're getting, on your journey. I love you for real. But you got to go. You got to go. Period, point blank. You have to know who you are. And when you know who you are, you will operate from that knowing. You will think from that knowing. You will choose from that knowing, right? You will operate from that beingness. You will choose from that beingness. You will think from that beingness. But the question is, and this is a question that I ask every new client that I bring in, do you know who you are? Because the moment I receive that answer, that will determine in what direction we're going to go in with their services. Do you know who you are? We are in this life to perfect our loving. We're in this life to perfect our loving. We are. We're in this life to align with our sacred self and be that self in this iteration, in this human existence, this human experience. Everything else matters not. That's why we can easily call it to our fruition, because all of everything else is imaginary. That's why it's easy to bring into our now, because it's imaginary, right? It's imaginary. Okay, you have whatsoever you say. Know the power that you possess, and understand that what you hold in your mind is what you're going to manifest to you, whether you use words or not. What you emit out there and what order you place with the universe is what's going to come to you. Universe don't know nothing about, I was just playing, I was just playing, I was just playing. No. You said what you said. By energy, words, thoughts, feelings, you said what you said. Communication in any form. And therefore you get what you asked for. What are you asking for? What are you asking for? What are you quote unquote desiring that you don't already know that you have already? Connect with who you are. Align with who you are. Not your having, not your doing, but your being. I don't care what you have. I don't care what you do. I do care about who you are. Okay? Because if you identify with who you are, then you will infuse what you have and what you do with who you are. Period. That's your greatest value, knowing who you are. Okay? All righty, you all. Listen, that's the end of this chapter. That was beautiful. Chapter 8 is coming up on Sunday, and that chapter is entitled Anger. Anger. Ooh. Oh, man. I love this. This was good. This was really, really good. You all, if you don't have the book, I don't know what you're waiting on. Get the book, get the book. It's free of charge. Okay. Yes, donations are welcome, but they are not required. Okay. It does cost me to do what I do on a regular, a weekly basis, twice a week. Definitely, I am a nonprofit 501c3 organization. So yes. Donations are welcome. They are not required though. Okay. To get the book, just send me a message, email me, message me, whatever the case, and I can send over the PDF version, the ebook version of this reading so that you can follow along with us. All right. I want you to join us. Be with us on this journey. Okay. Email me at info@biancamissblee.com. Again, info@biancamissblee.com. You can also visit my website if you want to take advantage of any services that I offer, any books that I've written, any merchandise and things like that. Miss Essence Evolve on Clubhouse says, great book. All of his books are awesome. Aren't they awesome? Aren't they awesome? They are amazingly awesome. And we're journeying through all of them. We started with Power versus Force, and the next is what we're reading now is Letting Go. It's beautiful. I'm telling you, it's so good. So good. I'm glad we started with Power versus Force though, because he's making reference to the levels of consciousness throughout this book, and I'm quite sure he's mentioning them in others as well. So I love the journey that we're on. Okay, so visit the website, you all. Take advantage of it. I also have astrological transits on there too. So if you want to know what's happening astrologically, then definitely go ahead. As of tomorrow, we have Mercury entering Leo. Okay, so this is a time for you to say it with your chest. Okay, say it with your chest. Mercury is the planet of communication. Leo is the sign of boldness, honey, and shining and standing confidently. So now, starting tomorrow, and it's going to be staying until September 9th, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, now is the time to say it flat-footed and with your chest. Speak with passion, okay? Speak with authenticity. Speak with assertiveness, all right? This is not the time to mute your voice. Your voice matters right now, okay? So use it, use it, use it, right? Stand up for what you believe in. All right. Follow me on social media: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, all of the places. Okay. Twitter, Dr. Bianca Miss B. Lee. All right. You all listen. I love you. I told you I wasn't gonna keep you all night. I love you. I mean it. There's absolutely positively nothing you can do about it. Don't you even try it. We'll see you back here on Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here at Divine Femininity United. Peace.